Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. Now, I'm going to be doing something a little bit more on the different side because I was asked this question so many different times when I was up on Twitch and I was playing Starfield as of yesterday. I've had a chance to go and play the game quite a few hours, actually. I've actually done like a pretty good degenerate run as of last night, and in all honesty, I have quite a few, I think, somewhat different than usual opinions on this game, and I want to maybe do like something different. Like if there's something you guys would maybe like in the future, I wouldn't mind just having a chance to sit down, do more reviews, and talk about it, and as well as also might be kind of something nice for me to go link up to my Twitch stream where people keep on asking about my first thoughts, opinions, and everything else. And I'm gonna go just give you guys a rundown. I'm gonna do a little bit of gameplay in the background, do a little bit more of a casual review, and kind of give you guys my actual thoughts. Now, to give you guys a bit of a preface on why I think this or what's going on, I have played through Fallout, I have played through Skyrim, I have played this game for quite a few hours already, and I'm also obviously like a quote-unquote full-time gamer because I've been playing a variety of streams on Twitch for literally years. Like, I play a lot of different games, and in all honesty, like, even though I kind of put off more of like a nice, happy persona on Twitch or YouTube, I'm a little bit of a stickler when it comes to games. So I'm gonna give you guys just like the first initial thoughts really quick in case you guys want to watch the entire, like, say, quote-unquote review as I ramble throughout this, but I'm gonna go and say this game is a Game Pass game. This game is a game that is meant to, well, if you have Game Pass, play it up on Game Pass, you'll enjoy it for what it is. The $10 is absolutely worth it. It may take you 20 or 30 bucks depending on how many months it takes to go beat the game. I got the early access for the game itself. Do I regret it? A little bit, because I don't overall spend like 50 bucks in the game, but I do think so far I will keep on playing it. I probably will be streaming more of this up on my Twitch stream if you guys want to go and follow. And of course, well, it's not that bad. So I'm gonna go continue over here. You guys can see I already have 5 hours into the game, and well, I'm just gonna give you guys just some casual stuff and showcase a few casual different things as I'm going through it. And as well, if you guys want to subscribe or give your thoughts and comments down below, you guys are very welcome to, or if you guys enjoy these types of more casual reviews. So I'm gonna first and foremost, as I just spawn in over here, is that when it comes to the game, space combat and space movement is a little bit on the boring side. Now, I was kind of anticipating of a few different things when it came to me playing the game, where I would be able to go and kind of traverse throughout the entire actual universe in a 1x1 setting, do some boosters, float around, and go from there. But instead, the UI and the overall travel is a little bit on the lackluster side. I'd probably go and say my overall reviews is probably like a 7.5 out of 8, although many reviewers have been saying as the game kind of progresses on through, and well, it just gets better. I really did not like the tutorial, and a lot of the actual menus and options are very somewhat on the convoluted side, mainly because you could go through these different types of things, you get to go check out different planets, but there really isn't that much to really kind of do on every one of these. And as well, sometimes the things are awkward because you're saying try to go press an escape or a tab, and it more so kind of brings you to a back pass rather than anything else, and somewhat convoluted to even go get to the place we have to go and do. Now, there shouldn't be really major spoilers, but a lot of these planets kind of have no real reason to go to them. You can kind of go and ski by them and go and see them, but there really isn't any real reason for me to go to, say, like, Voli Beta, or go over here for Voli Tal. And this is kind of a big issue we've seen a lot throughout this, because we can look through all the missions throughout the game, and I can go and say, like, hey, go to Proxlin 3 or whatever, but at the same exact time, like, it's really basic. Like, I'm not really flying, I'm just trying to go and set courses over here, and then basically kind of just go and jump. Like, so it's kind of a weird, convoluted system, because a lot of times, as you're going through the game, you have to do, like, a weird, like, reallocation, pauses, and kind of zip around all throughout the game experience. Other games such as like Fallout or Skyrim had a little bit of a better vibe, at least in my honest opinion, because you had a chance to go and more so enjoy the gameplay and segue into it. This game has a lot of little pauses and breaks, so even me just to kind of jump over to this random planet and maybe try to continue through some of the story over here, which might be a little baby slight spoiler overall, and then the game does look good, which is nice, you can do space combat. It's a lot of just like options and loading, which is okay if you're into that vibe and you're kind of prepared for that. But for me, I'm used to like a Skyrim, where I basically can fast travel and go somewhere else, but I can instantly go back into combat, instantly go into other like transversing around, or even say Fallout, where you can just kind of wander around and see what happens. Now for this, like there's really no way for me to pretty much just kind of zoom through over here. It's not really worth your time, but you can just go back into the actual menu itself, find a spot to go and scan, and then after you can go and do that, you have a spot to go and land, you find the anomaly, you go land over here and you go through it. But as you guys kind of saw throughout my entire process, it's a lot of going into menus and selecting where you want to go instead of actually just going there. And this also once again shows it's not the world's worst. As you kind of play more, the options in the UI make a little bit more sense, and it kind of flows a bit better. Like, I understand their idea and concept. That's why I kind of put it like maybe like an 8 or so. This review score actually might go up as I play more, because a lot of people keep on saying the game expands out more as you play throughout it. And once you beat the main story campaign, which is around 20 hours, it's a better experience. But overall, I do want to say a lot of the planets too are also kind of more on the bare, like just barren side. There really isn't too much over here for me to go look and see. Like, if you kind of look through this actual planet as we launch over here, which is nice. You guys can see my character really quick too as well. I can explain, okay? I can explain. But like, it's a very barren kind of planet. There's not really much going on. There's not really much to do. You can maybe go and harvest up resources and other various things as well, but it's not really that intensive of a, well, game. It's kind of basic. It's kind of barren. It does look nice. Like, the environments don't look that bad. The world seem all right, but as I mentioned, you can just kind of walk through all this. there's not really a big reason to be here. There's not really a big reason to go to many of these places, and overall, it just seems like a very, very empty planet. Like, here's just a few random little mobs, but there's literally 3 of them on the entire planet. Okay, maybe, like, yeah, just 3 or 4 maybe, but there's not really much else. Like, what else do you want to look at? Just random trees. I get these little cute mobs, sure, but that's pretty much all you kind of got. You can scan stuff. You see things like Argon. You can collect some of these things, and overall, you can run over here. But one thing I also kind of wish, too, is this game hopefully maybe had, like, a cool space travel thing, like little spaceship, little car. Maybe they go and run through over here. So this one big thing is a lot of these planets, although there is many, they're very, very barren, and that's a lot of things people are kind of critiquing. I don't mind it because it's kind of a certain vibe. It's kind of relaxing to go through this, but at the same exact time, I want more. I really think this game would have been better if they had maybe 15 or so proper, fully fleshed out planets with more things to do, little civilizations, little towns, more caves, etc. And these are there. Like, these things do exist inside the game overall, but it's just, like I said, it's kind of barren. Like, there's really almost no real reason for me to interact with most of the stuff on the planet. You see little mobs running around, that's cool, but that's pretty much about it. But I want to say the game itself does look mostly good, but there is also the occasional bug. Now, this is not like a scripted event. I'm not really sure if this is meant to be here or not. Those little random floating guys, they kind of, I don't know if this is a bug or not. They're kind of just there. They look like little balloons. I couldn't tell you because the game itself is a little bit on the, well, wondrous side. Now we also have a random mob over here where thankfully my teammate is kind of messing them on up. So I will gladly let them keep on doing this so you guys can kind of see, because that should be free experience for me. Never mind, this game did not give me anything that makes me sad. Anyway, but like, it's cool. Like, there is at least like little small things going on. There are mobs that are going out here, but it's just not that good. Now, one thing I want to say is I don't really like the UI. The UI could be definitely changed up or a little bit better. Even on the actual menus themselves, there's a little bit of a weird side thing to go through all this. Like, if you want to go through and figure out, say, your missions. It's like, it makes sense, like, once you do it for a few hours, but it took me around 3 hours to get really streamlined to remember where all my things actually are. Like, you look at the map itself, but if I want to press escape, it goes into, like, the larger map to get back over here. You want to go to your ship, you want to go to your health, you want to go to your actual inventory. It's just kind of a somewhat weird UI. Another good example, too, is it's not really like an easy, streamless way to go and switch your weapons. You can go and favorite things. You can go and make it a little bit on the easier side. But overall, it hasn't really been such a good experience for me using any of these weapons and stuff like that. You basically have to save them, and it's kind of awkward. You can't just kind of scroll through them. And I do kind of feel like something like Fallout had just felt a little bit more seamless. And this is another big thing, too, is the tutorial has been really rough, and I think a lot of people are going to critique this game a lot more, because the first, like, 3 hours of this game has been very, very rough. There's a lot of, like, little strange kind of niche mechanics you have to kind of go through and try to figure out, and it hasn't been the funnest thing, because it kind of, once again, takes you out of the gameplay itself. Now, I do like it. Like, the gameplay I've had so far, the experience I've had so far, and, like, the late-night vibes of me playing this game have been nice. Like, I'm not a Starfield hater, and I do actually recommend you guys checking it out and making your own opinions on it. I think an 8 out of 10 for me is a pretty solid score. A 7.5 to 8.5, depending on how the main story progresses, how this quote-unquote post-game stuff launches, and all these, like, quote-unquote 200-plus hours of additional content on how actually fulfilling it is going to change that score a lot more. Although I'm like 6 hours in, I do kind of feel like there's a lot of things I'm slogging. Number one, the performance, especially on PC. I have a 3080 Ti on a pretty nice PC, and most things are kind of slogging, and they're not the most efficient. It doesn't feel bad, but it doesn't feel great, which is kind of the rundown, I would say, of Starfield. Like, it's a very okay game, very average game, but if I really had to pick and choose even now, I'd rather be spending my time into something like Baldur's Gate, where you can kind of see the polish, and the game seems like more of a 9, 9.2, 9.3, instead of like an 8.5 at a high note from Starfield. Character customization is actually kind of nice, though, as well, and of course, this is on Game Pass, so for a $10 game, I'm going to be a little bit less critiquing on it. If this was a $70 game, I'd probably be putting more of like a 7, but for Game Pass, it's very easy for anyone to deep dive into it, enjoy the experience, and it is like a somewhat fleshed out good game. If you guys like the idea of Fallout in space, this will probably be a game for you. If you guys are more of a random, just, hey, I want to check out Starfield behind the hype and FOMO behind it, it'll be a slower rolling RPG, so you have to kind of base yourself for that. It's also going to be one of those games, too, as well. It's going to take a while to get into. I also want to say that a lot of the characters are somewhat unmemorable. I don't really care about almost any of the characters in the game so far, main story or not, and I've actually paid attention. I've done side stuff, and I've kind of listened to all the things. The main story is a little bit on the basic side, where it does seem formulaic, where you go to one area, you go and get some loot, you go and do some random fights, you get some random thing collectible, you go back to the main story, and you go from there. This may get better as time's gone on, but so far it's been very formulaic and very predictable, which I'm not really a big fan of games like Starfield, because I want to have things like, say, Skyrim. I want these characters to bring me on in and make me enticed to want to play the game and learn the lore. So far, I don't care a single thing. I have no idea why I'm on this planet. I don't care why I'm on this planet. And some of these things I really wish would factor up a little bit better overall. But I do say the game does look nice, and a lot more of the actual environments or textures, these little random things, you can tell they did put into actual effort in the actual animation and 3D modeling of these things. It's kind of a hard thing to go and show on a smaller planet like this, but some of the main hubs and towns do feel at least a little bit alive, although once again, due to the confusion, and them not really kind of pointing stuff out, such as like where to sell stuff, who to talk to sell things, and a few little smaller things out here, as does kind of make the game a little bit more on the, well, lackluster side. But I do want to say I do like it. I do want to keep on giving it a shot, and I don't think the game is bad, but when it comes to story, a little bit on the mediocre. When it comes to gunplay, mediocre but probably the best for any type of Bethesda game, but it's not saying much. And I do kind of feel like my overall view of Starfield, at least for my first 6 hours or so, this may go and change as time goes on, is it does seem like it's a jack of all trades. They do a lot of things very average and okay, which is not bad, but I want to have a lot of things that I kind of know from my Bethesda games way better. I want the story to be fantastic. I don't mind if the gameplay or there's bugs or things slogging around. I want the story to be immersive. I want the world to be fancy, and I want to know what's actually going on throughout all this stuff. But sadly for this one, it doesn't seem as crazy or as nice as we'd expect. Other characters, like these types of random things, I think these look cool. Like, I think they look kind of nifty and nice, and you have all these random things such as random stuff. But if you think about it, this is an entire huge massive planet where you guys basically saw almost no gameplay, no enticing of me to go on and go hit any of these other mobs throughout the entire run through over here. And well, as this is ongoing, we're now just casually fighting. No one really knows why. We're just kind of randomly here as this is now ongoing. You can see that there was basically no build-up, no conversation, no talk, just random things started happening, and now I'm sitting here and the AI doesn't even care what's going on. Where once again, it just doesn't seem like I'm immersed. It doesn't seem like it matters, and doesn't even matter like my actual effect to me being on this planet means almost anything at all. So that's kind of how I feel right here. But the game itself, I do think is worth checking out. Some people may like it. I myself do not hate it. Why were those random robots standing there with this random thing going on? God only knows. So, would I say, would you guys like Starfield? Off my really quick, just kind of rambling thoughts, you might like it. For Game Pass or $10, not the worst. I'd say go for it. But there's a lot of other really good RPGs, such as Sea of Stars, Baldur's Gate, and even other things like the Cyberpunk DLC, which in all honesty, I'm looking forward towards a little bit more. I'm going to keep on playing this. I'm going to see if my opinion keeps on getting better, but it does kind of seem like a lot of folks are waiting for that one major Xbox game that was probably one of the best games I've had a chance to play, and so far it's just a very nice average game, which I do think is worth playing. I don't think it's going to win Game of the Year. I think there's better games out there even as of right this second, and I do think this game will probably be really good in the future for mods and all of that. And, well, you guys can check it out yourselves in the next few days when the game does come on out. So far, I'd say, like, I'd probably put, like, a 7.5 to 8.5, depending on how you kind of skew these random things I rambled on about, such as story, gunplay, environment, textures, details, and all that, because some people don't mind it, some people do, so you may take that all with your grain of salt. Would I spend $70 on this game? I would say no. Would I download this game for Game Pass? I would say yes, and I want to hear your thoughts if you guys checked out Starfield already, or if you guys are just kind of curious on my overall thoughts as well, because I would love to kind of do more sit-down, casual, real talk things on my first 6 hours of games or stuff like this, because I do think it's good, it has potential, I saw where it was cooking, but it probably could have cooked a lot better, maybe a little bit longer, and I'm a little bit disappointed in how it kind of turned on out. Doesn't feel like, say, I'd almost want to go and just play a really nice modded Fallout 4 run instead of this, but I do appreciate them trying a brand new IP, doing something in space, but with all these laps of, like, gameplay, having to do all the traveling just to do combat, having to run over here for 5-10 minutes just to go and even see stuff, there is enough issues that I think you guys should maybe be curious about and make sure you guys are in the right mindset when it comes to this game. Hopefully I don't piss off too many people on my actual comments and thoughts. I try to be pretty objective on this one. I think it's worth checking out, but it's not going to be my favorite game of the year. I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments down below. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on, and I'll read through the comments on this video itself.